The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the rocky coastline of Thailand's Andaman Sea. A group of friends, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and Jake, had gathered for what was supposed to be an unforgettable adventure. They had all been friends since college and had a penchant for exploring the unexplored. Sarah, the unofficial leader of their group, had discovered a secluded beach known for its hidden caves and stunning scenery. "Trust me, guys," she said as they stood on the sandy shore, their backpacks heavy with supplies. "This is going to be amazing. I've read about this place online. It's practically untouched." Mark adjusted his sunglasses, looking skeptical. "I hope you're right. I don't want to end up on one of those survival reality shows." Emily laughed, her excitement palpable. "Come on, Mark, it's going to be fun. Plus, we have Jake here with his superior navigational skills." Jake grinned and patted the GPS device clipped to his belt. "Just stick with me and we won't get lost." They started their trek towards the caves, leaving behind the bustling beach resorts. As they moved deeper into the wilderness, the sounds of the sea and tourists faded, replaced by the rustle of leaves and distant bird calls. The path was narrow and winding, but Jake led the way with confidence. After about an hour of hiking, they reached the entrance to the cave system. It was hidden behind a dense thicket, almost invisible to the untrained eye. "Wow," Sarah breathed, pushing aside the vegetation. "This is it." The cave entrance was a gaping maw of darkness, cool air wafting out from its depths. Mark hesitated, peering inside. "Are you sure about this, Sarah? It looks pretty creepy." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Don't be such a wimp. Come on, we've got headlamps and enough supplies." "Let's go." They donned their headlamps, the beams cutting through the inky blackness as they ventured inside. The cave was cool and damp, the sound of dripping water echoing off the walls. The ground was uneven, forcing them to watch their steps carefully. "Look at these formations," Emily said, her voice reverberating in the confined space. "They're incredible. Stalactites and stalagmites, some as tall as they were, created an otherworldly landscape." The friends moved deeper into the cave, marveling at the natural beauty around them. But as they ventured further, the passages became narrower and more convoluted. "Jake, how's the GPS looking?" Sarah asked, glancing back. Jake frowned at the device. "Signal's getting weak in here, but we're still on track. Just stay close." Hours passed as they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels. The excitement they had felt earlier began to wane, replaced by a growing sense of unease. The cave seemed to go on forever, and the air grew colder and more oppressive. "Maybe we should turn back," Mark suggested, his voice tense. "We don't want to get lost in here." "Just a little further," Sarah urged. "I heard there's a hidden beach on the other side. It'll be worth it." Reluctantly, the others agreed and pressed on. After what felt like an eternity, they noticed a faint light ahead. The tunnel widened, and they emerged into a cavernous chamber. At the far end, an opening revealed the azure sky and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. "See? I told you," Sarah exclaimed, relief washing over her. "We made it." They hurried towards the opening, emerging onto a pristine, secluded beach. The sand was soft and white, the water crystal clear. It was breathtakingly beautiful, almost too perfect. "This is incredible," Emily said, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's like paradise." They spent the rest of the day exploring the beach, swimming in the warm water and basking in the sun. For a while, all their fears and worries melted away. As the sun began to set, they built a fire and sat around it, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. "This was a great idea, Sarah," Jake said, smiling. "I'm glad we came." Sarah beamed, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "I told you it would be worth it." But as night fell, the atmosphere shifted. The once inviting beach now felt isolated and eerie, the sounds of the jungle and the ocean blending into a symphony of unease. "I think we should head back to the cave," Mark suggested, glancing around nervously. "We can camp inside. It'll be safer." They reluctantly agreed, gathering their belongings and making their way back to the cave entrance. The darkness inside was complete, their headlamps barely piercing the gloom. As they set up camp inside the cavern, an unsettling feeling settled over them. The silence was oppressive, the only sound the distant drip of water. "I don't like this," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "Something feels wrong." Jake tried to reassure her. "We're fine, Em. It's just our imaginations running wild." But even Jake couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that had taken hold. They tried to sleep, But the cave seemed alive with whispers and shadows that danced just out of sight. In the middle of the night, Mark sat up abruptly, his eyes wide with fear. "Did you hear that?" The others woke up, their hearts pounding. "Hear what?" Sarah asked, her voice hushed. "Voices," Mark said, his face pale. "I heard voices coming from deeper in the cave." Jake frowned. "It's probably just the wind or water echoes. This place is full of weird acoustics." But the unease didn't dissipate. They huddled together, trying to ignore the growing sense of dread. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, like a chorus of lost souls. By morning, they were exhausted and on edge. "We need to get out of here," Emily said urgently. "I don't care about the beach anymore. This place is wrong." They packed up quickly and made their way back through the tunnels. But as they retraced their steps, the passages seemed different, the way more convoluted. "Are we lost?" Sarah asked, panic creeping into her voice. Jake checked the GPS, but the signal was gone. "Just keep moving, we'll find the way out." Hours passed, and the sense of disorientation grew. The cave seemed to shift around them, leading them in circles. The whispers became constant, a maddening drone that frayed their nerves. Mark stumbled and fell, scraping his knee. "We're going to die in here," he muttered, despair in his eyes. "Don't say that," Sarah snapped. "We'll find the way out." But even she didn't believe her own words. The cave felt alive, a malevolent entity that toyed with them. Their supplies dwindled, and exhaustion set in. Finally, they reached a chamber they didn't recognize. At its center stood an ancient, weathered statue, its features twisted in a grotesque grimace. "What is this?" Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't know," Jake said, his eyes wide with fear. "But we need to keep moving." As they turned to leave, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The statue's eyes seemed to glow, and a deep, rumbling voice filled the chamber. "Welcome, travelers," it intoned. "You have trespassed on sacred ground." The friends froze, terror gripping their hearts. "We didn't mean to," Sarah stammered. "We were just exploring." The voice chuckled, a sound like stones grinding together. "Your intentions matter not. You have entered the realm of the forgotten." The chamber grew darker, the walls closing in. The friends backed away, but there was nowhere to go. "You will join the others," the voice said. "Your souls are mine." The ground beneath them gave way, and they fell into darkness. They landed in a pit, the walls smooth and unclimbable. The whispers grew louder, now joined by wails of despair. Mark tried to claw his way up, but it was futile. "We're trapped," he sobbed. "We're going to die here." Emily clung to Jake, tears streaming down her face. "This can't be happening." Sarah stared up at the opening, her mind racing. There has to be a way out. But there was no escape. The pit grew colder, the darkness more oppressive. The friends huddled together, their hope fading. As the hours passed, their strength waned. The whispers became deafening, the voices of the damned. Desperation drove them to the edge of madness. Mark, once the skeptic, now muttered incoherently, scratching at the walls until his fingers bled. Emily, usually so composed, screamed into the darkness, her voice echoing back at her, twisted and mocking. Jake tried to keep them together, but he too was succumbing to the overwhelming sense of doom. His GPS, once a beacon of hope, now a useless weight at his side. "Stay with me," he pleaded, his voice cracking. "We can't lose hope." But hope was a fleeting illusion. Sarah, the leader who had brought them here, now sat silent and withdrawn, her eyes vacant. She whispered to herself, a mantra of denial. "There has to be a way out," she repeated over and over. "There has to be a way out." Time lost meaning. Days and nights blurred together, the pit becoming their tomb. Hunger gnawed at them. Thirst parched their throats. The whispers continued, relentless and cruel, driving them further into despair. One by one, they fell silent. Emily was the first to succumb, her body giving out from exhaustion and despair. She lay still, her once vibrant spirit now a hollow shell. Mark followed soon after, his mind shattered beyond repair. He stopped scratching at the walls, his eyes glazing over as he slipped into unconsciousness, never to wake again. Jake, ever the protector, held on the longest, but even he could not withstand the relentless torment. His strength waned, his hope extinguished. He clung to Sarah, trying to offer comfort in their final moments. "We'll be okay," he whispered, his voice weak. "We'll find peace." Sarah, lost in her own world of horror, barely registered his words. She stared into the darkness, her mind unraveling. In the end, only Sarah remained, a shadow of her former self. The cave had taken everything from her, her friends, her hope, her sanity. She was alone in the darkness, the whispers her only companions. The malevolent force that ruled the cave watched, satisfied. It had claimed new souls, adding to its collection. The whispers grew louder, now joined by the voices of Sarah, Mark, Emily, and Jake. The cave remained, waiting for the next unwitting travelers to stumble into its grasp. And the whispers continued, a symphony of despair echoing through the ages. The outside world moved on, oblivious to the fate of the lost adventurers. Their story became a cautionary tale, a legend whispered around campfires. But the truth was far darker than any tale could convey. The cave, with its malevolent force, remained a place of nightmares, forever hungry for new souls to claim. And in the heart of the Andaman Sea, the whispers of the dam carried on the wind, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface, waiting to consume those who dared to seek its secrets. Also, in the end, just don't forget, it wasn't just a puppy, so you better click that subscribe button.